They said the house was haunted. The stories had been passed down through generations, each one more terrifying than the last. Whispers of ghostly apparitions, eerie sounds, and unexplained phenomena filled the air whenever the old mansion was mentioned. It was a place that no one dared to visit after dark, a place that seemed to breathe with a life of its own. Lily was about to find out just how true that was. She had always been fascinated by the supernatural, drawn to the mysteries that lay beyond the veil of the ordinary world. Her friends had dared her to spend a night in the haunted house, and she had accepted the challenge with a mix of excitement and trepidation. Armed with only a flashlight and her courage, she approached the house, its dark silhouette looming against the night sky. The wind howled through the trees, adding to the sense of foreboding that hung in the air. She took a deep breath, steeling herself for what lay ahead. Lily stepped through the creaking door, the sound echoing through the empty halls. The air inside was thick with dust and the scent of decay, as if the house itself was a tomb preserving the memories of those who had once lived there. The air turned icy, shadows danced along the walls, and an eerie silence filled the space. It was as if the house was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. Every step she took seemed to reverberate through the darkness, the sound amplified by the emptiness around her. And an eerie silence filled the space. The silence was almost deafening, broken only by the occasional creak of the floorboards beneath her feet. She felt as if she was being watched, as if unseen eyes were following her every move. Her flashlight flickered, as if warning her to leave. The beam of light wavered, casting long, distorted shadows on the walls. She shook it, trying to steady the light, but it continued to flicker, adding to her growing sense of unease. In the corner of a dusty room, she saw it, a tarnished mirror, strangely captivating. The mirror seemed out of place, its ornate frame covered in a thick layer of dust. It was as if it had been forgotten, left to gather the memories of the past. As she drew closer, a chill crept up her spine. The air around the mirror seemed colder, as if it was drawing the warmth from the room. She could see her breath in the air, a thin mist that hung in the stillness. Her reflection didn't match her movements. She raised her hand, but the figure in the mirror remained still. It was as if the mirror was showing her a different reality, a world where she was trapped in a moment of time. While she stood still, the figure in the glass began to smile, a sinister wide grin that sent shivers down her spine. The smile was unnatural, stretching across the face in a way that seemed to defy the laws of anatomy. It was a smile that spoke of malice, of a hunger that could never be satisfied. Panicking, she turned to run, but the door slammed shut. The sound was like a gunshot, echoing through the halls and sending a jolt of fear through her. She was trapped, the walls closing in around her. She pounded on it, heart racing as whispers echoed through the halls, "Stay with us forever." The voices were soft, almost seductive, weaving a web of fear around her. They seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, filling her mind with a sense of dread. Desperate, she turned back to the mirror. The figure was still there, its eyes locked onto hers. It was as if the mirror was a portal, a gateway to another world where the rules of reality no longer applied. The figure was stepping out, its dark eyes locked onto hers. It moved with a fluid grace, as if it was made of smoke and shadows. Its eyes were like black holes, drawing her in, making it impossible to look away. Lily backed away, but the spirit advanced, its cold fingers reaching for her. She could feel the chill of its touch, a cold that seemed to seep into her very soul. It was a cold that spoke of death, of a darkness that could never be escaped. She remembered the stories. The house fed on fear. It thrived on the terror of those who dared to enter, drawing strength from their nightmares. She knew that if she gave in to her fear, she would be lost, another soul trapped within the walls of the haunted house. Gathering her courage, she shouted, "I'm not afraid of you." Her voice echoed through the halls, a defiant cry that seemed to shake the very foundations of the house. She could feel the power of her words, a strength that came from deep within her. The spirit paused, its grin faltering. It was as if her words had broken a spell, disrupting the dark energy that held the house together. The figure seemed to waver, its form becoming less solid, more like a shadow. Seizing the moment, Lily lunged for the door, throwing it open. The door gave way with a groan, the hinges protesting as she pushed it open. She could see the night outside, a beacon of hope in the darkness. She bolted into the night, the whispers fading behind her. The cold air hit her like a slap, but it was a welcome relief from the oppressive atmosphere of the house. She ran until her legs gave out, collapsing on the ground, gasping for breath. Years later, the house still stood, a chilling reminder of that night. It was a place that no one spoke of, a dark stain on the history of the town. The stories continued to circulate, each one more terrifying than the last, but no one dared to enter the house again. But Lily never returned, for she knew the truth. Some mirrors don't just reflect, they trap souls. She had seen the darkness that lay within the glass, a darkness that could never be escaped. She had narrowly escaped becoming part of the house's dark legacy, and she knew that she could never go back. And she had narrowly escaped becoming part of the house's dark legacy. The experience had changed her, leaving her with a deep understanding of the thin veil that separates the living from the dead. She had faced her fears and survived, but the memory of that night would haunt her forever. She had learned that some places are best left undisturbed, their secrets buried in the shadows, waiting for the next brave soul to uncover them.